I'm Jen, and I work at the Night Ministry in Chicago, where I work with young people experiencing homelessness and LGBTQ fabulous youth. Most of them are from Chicago. Once in a while, we get people from like small towns or from the suburbs. Those are especially our like LGBTQ youth who leave small towns to come to the big city to try to find more safety. What are their lives like? Well, I mean, intense, right? Because they're adolescents, and so all of the emotions of adolescence compounded by the trauma they've experienced and the sort of daily survival skills that they need to use to find a place to stay and find a place to eat. And also, they're like regular adolescents in the sense of they're trying to figure out who they are and trying to make their way in the world and trying to have a dream to follow, but it's all just intensified by their daily circumstances. A lot of them were kicked out of their homes for being gay or being suspected of being gay or lesbian or bi or trans. Especially the trans youth are people whose families kicked them out or said you can stay here if you are the gender you were assigned at birth. Some of them, though, like their families are just kind of living in poverty, and so maybe the whole family became homeless. You know, they were abused at home or it was violent at home, and for some of them, they chose to live on the streets rather than live at home because they felt it was safer. Some of them go home for holidays, maybe for like an hour or two, but most of them, when they come back, realize like it wasn't safe or they just felt horrible about themselves. And some of them don't have a home to go back to. They were wards of the state or family members died. There's a pretty strong community amongst the youth here. They consider themselves a family and call each other brother, sister, and mother, father, and all that, cousin. So they have a pretty good support system. I've been working here almost 7 years, and I've seen a lot of like depression and stuff and some suicidality, but sometimes youth just disappear. So you never know if something happened or if they got their own apartment or they moved to San Francisco or whatever. But I think we see maybe less suicide than people think. A lot of times when people talk about queer homeless youth and talk a lot about the struggles and stuff, but I think one of the other things that keeps me in this job is the amazingness of young people and that they are so creative and so resilient. They form community across lines that the rest of the world just can't figure out. They form family across racial and gender and sexual orientation and background lines because they need each other. So I think it's pretty inspiring and a model, a little microcosm of what our world could look like, what the reign of God looks like. I just want to like get out there how awesome young people are and that they're going to be the ones who change things. These are our kids, and because a lot of it is religious discrimination or hatred, I feel like, money doesn't change that. Building community and having churches work on being affirming and welcoming to all people, that'll change things, I think, more than somebody can just give a couple bucks. But I would like a couple bucks. I would like a lot of bucks. Dear Mr. President, when he was elected, we had young people like dancing in the streets, and they're like, I'm going to marry my boyfriend. And they thought like all these things were going to change for the queer community. Well, I'd actually like to hear him be more vocal on queer issues in general and step it up a little bit and represent for the queer.